I'm Michael Ratner. I'm the president of the Center for Constitutional Rights in New York, which is a broad-based human rights, civil liberties group. And we do some work on Palestinian-Israeli issues. We represented the Corey family in their suit against Caterpillar. We've done other work like that. We'll be doing some of the work around the recent attacks on the flotilla. And I myself just came back maybe 4 months ago. I'd gone to try and get into Gaza with my kids on the Gaza Freedom March. We'd failed. And then we went to the occupied territories in the West Bank. And what we saw was utterly devastating. And so I've become even much more active since then. Let's just say if the Americans pulled the rug out from under Israel, there would be no blockade, there'd be no occupied territories. Jerusalem would be the capital of a Palestinian state. So what we have here is a country that I live in and I'm a citizen of, and I'm Jewish as well, that is giving $3 billion a year so Israel can commit war crimes in Gaza, in East Jerusalem, and in the West Bank, and is it committed on the high seas with the last flotilla. So Americans, I think, have a special responsibility to say, that's enough. This country has to stop supporting war crimes and Israeli human rights violations that are so massive and so gross that it just should outrage the conscience of the world. And it may do that to some. But if you can change America on this, you will change Israel. You will force Israel into a recognition, maybe not a recognition, but you will force them into a situation where they have to recognize the Palestinian people and their legitimate rights. You know, Israel is basically, its effort is to destroy the Palestinian people as a people, to destroy their leadership, to destroy their infrastructure, and to destroy their people so they can do really essentially what they want with the Palestinian people. And in Gaza in particular, of course, you know, they were beginning a blockade of Gaza way before all the excuses the Israelis give about rockets and about Shalit. When Hamas won a democratic election, Israel began the blockade immediately after that. And so what you have in Israel is the claim is they want to stop the rockets, but that's complete BS. They started that blockade way before. They want to destroy Hamas and the government of Gaza. And if you look at it another way, what they're really doing is they're collectively punishing the people of Gaza. And if there's an issue that should have resonance with the people in Israel and with Jewish people in particular, it's collective punishment, because that's what was done to towns throughout Europe during the Nazi period. And that's an issue to me that is fundamental, and that's what Israel is doing in Gaza. Here, you and I, most of us have sat here for I don't know how many years now with the blockade, with the Palestinian people imprisoned in their own country. And the world sometimes passes great resolutions at the UN. A lot of people condemn the blockade, a lot of countries condemn it, and then nothing changes for the people of Gaza. And so when you look at how to make change in the world, how to make it particularly in Gaza, you have to say to yourself, it's actions by human beings, by people, by what some people call civil societies, but by people who are willing to put their lives between the oppressed and the oppressors. And so what the flotilla does, and what people who go on that do, is put their lives between the oppressed Palestinians in Gaza and the oppressors, Israel and the United States. And the way change is made and will be made, and we can already see that in what's happened already. The flotillas, despite all the screaming to the rooftops by countries about the blockade being illegal, the world court saying the wall was illegal, occupied territory, that can't happen, nothing happened until the flotillas started sailing to Gaza. And that's going to make the change.